Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. Today I am joined with my mom and my aunt. So these are my main people I like to talk about books with. They give me a lot of my recommendations, so I thought it'd be fun if today they give you guys some recommendations. Okay, who wants to start?
I'll go first. So I did my top reads in the last year in just the romance category, which is what I read the most. So I'll start with my number 10 and then go to my first. And excuse my nails.
I don't know.
Any attention.
Okay. She's been digging graves today.
That's why I need to get my nails done. If you want to subscribe, my 10th is Caught Up. It is the third in a series, sports romance.
Oh, is this the baseball?
Mhm.
Yes, I
Yeah.
read this too.
Yeah,
I liked
so
it.
it's single dad, baseball player, and it's the daughter of the coach who is like an award-winning chef. And it's fun. It's kind of her finding her way, and then you hear about him in the first two books that are also sports romance as like being very protective and like going through nannies left and right. So then this is kind of nice to meet that character. And this author does a good job of like building up tension, but kind of in a little bit of a realistic way. There's definitely some escapism, but I normally actually don't like kids in my romance books, but this one I did like because I thought that it was kind of cute, and
It really was.
yeah.
I think this was my favorite in the series.
It's funny because when I first read Mile High,
I think that's my least favorite, honestly.
that's the hockey one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm usually a big hockey romance person.
Yeah.
I think this is the only baseball romance I've read.
I've done only two sports romances, The Deal and Blocked Shot, which I thought was Elle Kennedy, but it's Elle somebody else.
Yes.
Because I'm new to this genre, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
My jam is fantasy and sci-fi.
But she has many opinions.
I have opinions.
So many.
Some of us have more discerning tastes.
Sounds insulting.
Someone who won't be recommending these books to their sister.
I've taken many of both of your recommendations.
She has.
I think there's a special place in my heart for sports romance because I didn't read until after college. The first was young adult fantasy, and then I got into hockey romance before it blew, like back in 2014. And then,
When you should have taken the book job at the Blues.
yeah. Well,
Back in
so-
2014,
TikTok.
when TikTok didn't exist.
Well, the version of it.
Yes. I like the trope. I like that it was like my introduction to like spice and stuff like that. But this one, yeah, it's more of like a gentle falling for each other, which is fun.
I might go the reverse.
Okay.
Top and then down. So, I read a lot of different genres. This is my
Implying that
stack.
we
This is my stack of
Unlike them who read the same thing.
my 4 stars across genres.
I did not make her bring these
This is
books.
such
I don't even know
older
if that's
sister
French.
energy.
Stop.
And here are the receipts.
And 5 stars. Okay, technically speaking, this is my only 5-star of 2024. I have read 26
Actually, so
books
then
this year.
I'm surprised that it's an Emily Henry book, I will say.
This
my
is her
first
best
Emily Henry book.
book, I think.
But I will say I did read this trilogy part of last year and
Do you
want to
say their names
So,
and something
I will,
about
I will.
them?
But this is the only 5-star of it because, of course, not every book in a trilogy is equally brilliant
Yeah.
and amazing. So I'll just go to this one.
Just like every sibling who doesn't read every genre isn't of equal brilliance.
We have the overachiever and the...
And whatever
I
it is.
just wanted to show props. That's actually how I visually cue myself for what I read.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so funny story. Emily Henry. I think you've. Talked
Yeah,
about
I
it.
talked a little bit about
So
this.
maybe it doesn't deserve too much of an
It does.
explanation.
Especially
but-
because your first 5-star romance.
Okay. It is unexpectedly really cute. It's sexy, but in a soft way, I would say. Would you agree?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I really like Miles, the character of the guy.
Me too.
Caught Up's guy's name is Miles. No, it's not. It's Kai. Just kidding. Sorry.
And I think that when I looked at the premise, I was like, overdone. And then I read it.
Literally, I could give you the plot of a book I've read
10
300
times.
I like a good variety is all I'm saying. And I like surprise and complexity and don't know how I feel about things that are predictable. So I wasn't expecting this to be as original and imaginative with the plot that felt overly familiar. So
Impressive.
it's very impressive of the author, actually, that she can take something that feels familiar but make it so fresh. And I think it's very sweet. Some very funny scenes.
They have good back and forth.
Yeah. And the side characters, I think, are pretty good too. And the setting is very cute. I really get a sense of the town.
Yeah.
The fact that you liked it, Emily
My little sister,
liked it, or is...
who is also a harsh critic.
Yeah. I have a feeling you'll also really like it.
Yeah. I'm excited. I read her Happy People. Which
Happy
was-
place.
They happy.
Not happy people.
Happy people and places. That's what I'll say.
You probably did
Oh,
not
I
read at
felt
a good
about
time either.
Maybe not a great time in my life reading about long lost loves that work out. Ooh.
That is true.
So brutal. But the cover is so pink and
I know,
happy.
it
It's
looks
Right.
happy place.
Whatever.
See, expectations
Yes.
coming in.
But I do, like, I normally like the angst, a little angsty, but obviously, like, not fraught with it. So, which would be my criticism of,
Happy place.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite, Emily,
This one.
after this?
Honestly, I did really like Happy Place.
Yeah.
I really enjoy like a dual timeline, and I liked how she went back and forth with their like relationship in the past versus the present. And I don't know, I didn't expect myself to like it, but I like flew through it and really enjoyed it.
I have some authors that I know I love. And when it comes to like rating the book, I'm like, well, I did fly through it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't put it down.
Yes.
But overall, like, did I enjoy the experience?
Yeah.
Or maybe the writing is so good. And so, like, that would be my criticism of, like, the latest Crescent City. Where, like, she could probably write anything and I would read it.
Yeah.
Sarah J. Maas.
Yeah.
In case you didn't know.
No.
So it's funny because I think that is where I struggle with sometimes when I do the ratings, where it's like, well, I couldn't put it down, but
Yeah.
maybe, I don't know.
I think when I rate, because some of this is hard to set, and because I reviewed movies for a long time too, like you almost have to start at like your high-low,
Yeah.
and then like collect some at both ends, and then that's part of your barometer. But also, it's not only for me how I feel immediately when I finish reading the book, it's does it stay with me?
Yeah.
And so I try to wait at least a day before I decide what I might rate it.
Yep.
And then sometimes I'll wait a little longer even. And if I have a sense of longing, or like I think of characters
Yeah.
more than 24 hours after I finish the book, or even like I'm going to go back and reread a scene, or I want to talk about the book, or I feel sad that the book is over and it's not just right when I'm done with the book.
Yeah.
That to me is like telling me like, rate me higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's...
I'll
at
change
least
my
one of those.
rating.
Yes.
I have done that
Yeah.
too. Like if I'm like, you know what, this is a week later, and I'm still thinking about this.
Yeah.
I think I better.
Or if I like want everyone I know to read it, you know,
Right.
where I'm like, I need to talk about this immediately. Like,
right.
I have a yes. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you.
oh no, that was basically it.
I have like a right book, right time, and then
Yeah.
like which brings me to my next one.
Yeah.
Which is Colty, where I like when I first rated it, I think I gave it 5 stars. I was sick and loved reading during that time, but I'm like, well, her books are very, very long. And then talking to you about it, I'm like, yeah, I didn't like, there's a lot of lead-in that didn't add too much, but overall, what I loved about it as someone who played soccer, the main character is a woman who plays professional soccer in the US, and her idol becomes a coach for her team, and he is like the world superstar. Their relationship goes, starts off pretty fraught.
This is
the
like
book
the
that bended-
OG grumpy
I
guy.
was
Yeah.
gonna say. Well,
Yeah, so
do you
he's-
remember the movie Bend It Like Beckham?
Yes.
Do
I
I
know?
remember?
Yeah. So
All I'm saying is, it's
I definitely, that guy was much friendlier.
100%.
young also.
Yeah, this guy is basically like, could be the age of her father. Ish? Like, she's like, what, 23? He's like 41?
It's a
Well,
thing.
No, I think he's like 38. So what I liked about this one is like some of my, as we'll see, my favorite trope is like grumpy, tension, angst, or straight enemies to lovers. And so a lot of times the profession of the person like really matters.
Yes.
And so the fact that this man was like a little abrupt, kind of like a straight shooter, confrontational,
Yeah.
and he was German. So of course now I like just need to move to Germany.
And also it makes sense, like, he's a superstar. He's had so many
Yeah.
people, like,
Fawning all over
Yeah.
him, and all of these things. So
yeah.
Right.
I thought sometimes too, without saying too much, like I'd like you start to look for certain pieces in the book that are noticing like when characters are starting to like fall for each other, and
Mhm.
while the narrator doesn't realize it, like you as the reader does.
Yeah.
And this author I think does that very well.
She does a great slow burn.
Yeah. Her other ones,
Who is it?
Maria
Mariana Zapata.
Did you bring the book so we could see?
We read on our phones, Mom.
Some of us don't have a $400 budget.
What can I say?
What can I say? I make more money.
I spend my money in this way.
I spend it getting my nails. She's another author where I read her books and I enjoy them while I read them, but sometimes after I'm done, I'm like, what would I rate this? But Colty, I thought about it all the next day, and I really did like the second half, I would say, of the book.
My next is, I'll just talk about Catherine Arden is the author of this, so read it in order. Bear in the Nightingale is the first book, which I ranked 4 out of 5. Girl in the Tower I gave 5 out of 5. And then Winter of the Witch, 4 or 5 again. So
It's pretty solid.
Yeah, good
This-
series.
this is really great. It is called the Winter Night Trilogy, based on Russian fables. You meet the prince. Whew, this is going to be rough.
You don't have to
I'll
give a full
discuss.
synopsis.
Okay,
Do you know
I'll
what I
say
think
this.
it is? Did you ever watch The Polar Bear Prince? Where he gets turned into a polar bear and then she has to go save him? That's what I imagine this series is. Talk to Phil, our younger brother.
It is not. But there
Could
is
have made that easy.
one of the things that made actually the second one
A
so
polar
good
bear romance.
was about her relationship with her horse and being essentially this woman of the wilderness very empowered. This is a spoiler.
Oh, Mom!
What? It's not an important spoiler. In the second book, she pretends to be a boy because she can't, as a woman, be in the world because this is, old-time Russia. And there is such an amazing turn of events. A small town, sort of wild thing that's never behaved well and is out in this wooded community. Basically, the god of death, Morozko, is a key character. Amazing fantasy world building, but also romance that builds over the trilogy as well.
Better than Leah Barduga's world building?
Impossible.
I think it's just different because I'm not big on historical by itself, but I do like history in fantasy, especially fabled mythologies.
Yeah.
And so I think that feels actually familiar because Barduga has some of that too. Yeah. But I think the world is in some ways simpler in Arden's stuff because it's the big city and it's the wilderness.
Yeah.
And there's a lot going on, of course, in the politicking of the city once we get a sense of that further into the trilogy. But at the beginning, it's just a young woman who doesn't fit in, and she's not beautiful, and she's not getting married off, and she senses things that are happening in the woods and sort of on a deeper layer. And so I love that around the fantasy piece of it. A lot of what I read has a fantasy thread first, and then it adds other elements. It could be romance, it could be thriller. I actually started some horror this year, Fairy Tale by Stephen King.
That's definitely on my it's been on my to-be read list for a while. Now that I know you have the hard copy of all three, I'll just...
Exactly.
Yes, I've seen these a lot.
My next one is Check and Mate. It's Allie Hazelwood, who had quickly became one of my favorite authors. I actually didn't read a ton of contemporary romance, and I started with her Love Hypothesis, which I think was her first book.
I think so, yeah.
But this is actually, is it YA?
I think so.
I think so. Yeah, that's her.
I wonder if this is the only one of hers I've read.
I think it is. I have another one of hers though, but that's my favorite, I think.
The Love Hypothesis?
Yeah. And Check and Mate is closely after. I did enjoy that a lot.
Basically story about a teenager who is like a chess savant who feels burdened to take care of her family, but then enters into a chess tournament and beats the world champion who's a guy. Goes from there. And she's kind of more of a free spirit, but the dynamic with the sisters at the dining room table
is hilarious.
One of my most favorite scenes. She captures the back and forth really well in all of her books, I would say. She always just gives me exactly what I want. Sometimes I want a little bit more, but with this one I thought it was so cute and so endearing, and there was a little bit of spice, which of course I loved. But
well, I think that takes it out of being YA then, technically.
I would say I think it is still. I think actually I did read a couple reviews on Goodreads, and people were complaining because they're like, "This is YA."
Okay.
And I'm like, yeah, but there's
Fade to Black would be the YA version.
Yeah, there is that.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
But yeah, I just thought it was cute, and they're both really smart, so their quips back and forth are really cute.
Yeah.
But yeah, you envision a little bit of Queen's Gambit, but she's wearing Free People, and
I rewatched Queen's Gambit after reading that because it put me in such a chess mood. Yeah. It was so fun.
I don't know. It surprised me. I bought it at an airport and couldn't put it down, but I've done that with a couple of her books, so now I just reach for them. And then we'll get to see her later this summer.
Yes, I'm excited. We're going to the book signing of her new book.
Yes.
So, love interest is an office romance.
I bought this for her.
Yes. So what would you say? I said I would like some more office romances. I've watched The Hating Game, but that's my next book on the list. So I don't know. I don't know how many office romances I've actually.
I honestly haven't read that many.
So I don't know where. I don't know where to put this in terms of.
How many
Red
stars?
romances
I gave
where they have sex in an office. I'll add those to your list. Rate them 2 stars.
Well, technically.
Tears is salty because she recommended the fine print to Mom.
And guess how many stars she gave her? Spoiler alert, 2. Oh my god.
I only brought my 4 and 5. My 5-star.
Yeah, thank
and my
God. Your 2-star list would be my 5-star.
That's not true. But I did actually read Sex in an Office. Also did not give it a 4-5-star. But it's not.
Shocked.
This is Enemies to Lovers. Can I say that, or is that a spoiler?
It's not a spoiler.
Great.
I think it's fun because they apply for the same job, and he gets it and she doesn't, but he doesn't know she applied.
Typical. Realistic, I see.
He's sort of enigmatic and charming, and she's more withdrawn. So she quickly realizes he's actually very good at what he does, but he has his own difficulties that he's kind of buried below being a highly social person. And
Cut.
it's satisfying, it's steamy, it's cute. I like the world of The Office. Authentic worlds are important to me. If it's like, that would never happen in an office. Like, I'm so distracted by things that feel like they could be easily convinced of me that it's true. And
Yes.
I feel like this hits all the buttons, has fun scenes.
It's on my TBR list now,
Yeah.
so
Ooh.
I'm going to
So
borrow it now.
leave it here.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, the next one is one that exists in this house, but is Things We Left Behind, which is a Lucy score. There are 2 other.
Yeah, it's up
there
there.
it is. It's book 3, which I actually would recommend reading the first 2, which I liked, but I will say hers are pretty long. But this is the book where, like, even in the first book, you meet the characters, because it's 2 brothers and a best friend, and this is the story of the best friend.
Do these happen in sequence? So if you read
Yeah,
three
so
first-
that's why you have
okay.
to kind of read the first 2 first.
Yeah,
But
and
this is the one, like, you can feel the tension between the 2 of them in the other books. So you're really just, like, waiting to get to this book, kind
Yeah.
of.
Right.
and he's in an office. I wouldn't classify it as an office
Definitely
romance.
not.
Let's see. So the
Childhood best friends.
childhood best friends, where you get this idea something big happened and there were lies told. She's a librarian. He's built
A billionaire.
Yeah,
Librarian.
yeah.
Yeah, just like funny
Funny
story.
story.
Okay.
It does the dual timelines again.
The dual timelines. The childhood story is realistic,
Mm-hmm.
and
And it's really cute.
it is. I do think that sometimes there's a lot of build-up with, like, something happened in the past, and then you get the story, and, like,
You're like, that's it.
yeah, that's it. Or you fly in the other direction with Colleen Hoover, where someone killed their best friends, and while they
And
were
you're like,
sleeping
and
with
you
the
forgive
dad,
them?
and I'm like, oh my god.
It takes 2 pages to resolve.
Yeah.
What did
like,
you give this one?
I think I gave this 5 stars.
Okay.
I either
Are
give
all
it 4
of the
or
ones
5.
you're talking about 5s?
No, I'd say the first one's like a 4 and
Yeah.
4.5. Second one I'd give like a 3. But I can't say I love a cop romance.
The first one I liked. It was grumpy.
Grumpy Sunshine.
I didn't love the girl main character as much, but she's cute. I like the guy more, but then sometimes, like, as you get to know the guy, actually he's a barber, and as a hairstylist, I was like, oh no, like how many
Cliche things.
No, just like this is why the ones that I like are professions that like I don't know.
Yeah.
Right,
you know,
so you're
'cause
not
it's
like that's
distracting.
false.
I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, what barber? Like, I do get a grumpy barber, totally. But there's something about like reading about a salon that I'm like, there's no like escapism or anything like that.
Yeah.
The first two have a little bit of like that Tessa Bailey-esque, like, not ridiculousness, but a little bit of like weird where you keep distending reality further and further, and then this one I feel like comes straight in and grounds you
Yeah.
by talking about the kids, like, and what happened as kids, and builds this very realistic, so that then when you jump to present time where maybe reality's distended,
Yeah.
like I think she did.
So what I'm hearing is skip to book 3.
No, because you have to read the
Really?
build-up.
Okay.
Yeah, you could read the first one and then like kind of
Skim the
skim the second, and then
It's got to be all or nothing. I'm going to read them all, or
I think you should
Then
read them all. I think they're
Yeah.
worth reading them all.
Yeah.
I did enjoy all of them.
I think though that maybe read the first and then like read something else.
Yeah.
Read the second.
Yeah.
Because she does kind of have the same formula for all her books.
Yeah, I did that with Rebecca Yaros's Wilder
Oh yeah.
series. They're more on the 3-star list. That's why they're not here. These are not my books. I don't know where her second one is.
I don't own the second one.
Oh, I
Oh,
got
well,
it.
you have
You
it.
have it.
So,
We pass around books.
we passed around books. So both 4 stars for me. Rebecca Yaros. And since
That's a
I read
5-star.
them,
Yeah.
I have gone on a Rebecca Yaros search to find other things as good as these.
Yeah.
I think that she's exceptionally good with fantasy romance, and I absolutely love the romantic tension between the 2 main characters in this series. And she maintains it just as well in the second book as in the first book, which is a very hard thing to do. A lot of authors, like, they either basically get together and then it's no longer as interesting and the tension is completely gone and they just hold hands and there's nothing else going on anymore, and they move on to other sort of leading romantic new tensions. That's not the case here. She keeps it really interesting. I'm a huge sucker for anything with dragons. This has sort of a, would you call it dark academia?
I'd say it's academia. I don't think it's dark.
Yeah, I would say it's like a pure fantasy.
I mean,
It just takes place at a school.
yeah.
Which is like one of the most fun aspects of it is
It
the
is.
school and
It is.
learning how like all the trials they do and like
Yeah.
their classes that they take.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
really fun.
Yeah, it is.
You would like, did you ever read An Ember in the Ashes? It's like got this Grecian
I feel like
Yes.
it's got a
Oh,
duology.
trials. I think it's 3. I don't know if
I think
Let me
I'm
look
I
at
don't
my
know if it
Goodreads.
maintains.
Ember in the Ashes or Flame in the Mist. Flame in the Mist, I
One's
definitely
I
have.
think it's severe, or the
Yeah.
I don't know if the third one gets.
Oh, it's on my
but
here.
it is like Grecian trials. You know, wants to get in, he wants to get out.
Yeah.
How do they help each other?
Yeah.
But yeah,
It
Fourth
is-
Wing and Iron Flame, I think, were both
Yeah.
5 stars for me.
Yeah.
Same.
I have some critiques, but I won't mention it today.
No need to go down a tangent.
I can't give a 5 unless it's like utterly perfect.
I just
So-
I enjoyed it more than like most books I read. And it sucks you into the world. I was thinking about it for days. I wanted to talk about it with everyone I knew. So to me that feels like a 5-star. Even if it's like there's still some things that like I personally would change. I'm like
Right.
I think everything else outweighs it.
I get both. Like that's the scale I adhere to as well.
Yeah.
But I do understand where you're like, I want 5 to be no notes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think I used to do
Yeah.
that, and then
It's just hard to get a 5-star then.
It is, but then I just feel it's so satisfying. Like, I will say, one of my most epic 5 stars is N.K. Jemisin's 5th season, and that and actually The Silence of Bones for me was a 5-star fantasy. Almost anything that Ishiguro writes, it's almost guaranteed to be 4, maybe 5-star. So I feel like it's okay. 4 is still like pretty exceptionally good for me.
Yeah.
And it turned me on to this new author who I've now read her trilogy of the kids in college, which I realized maybe I'm just getting a little too old for college romance. But then again, I didn't mind the deal.
Yeah.
And the first one in Euros's X Game athlete romance trilogy, Zayden and the tutor, basically, that fall in love with each other in the first book, is fun. I read The Reality of Everything, which is also Rebecca Yarros, which is part of I didn't realize I picked one in the middle.
But they're like standalone.
They're standalone,
loosely linked.
but it's kind of like I lost the context of other people that were introduced, that we had already read the stories of them, and maybe even the guy that she had fallen in love with who died.
Right.
His romance with somebody else is probably, I think, one of the other books.
Yeah.
And those are okay, but those are like more on the 3-star. I don't know if it's because of the dragons. I don't know if it's because of the school and the broad fantasy, if it's the 2 lead characters in Fourth Wing, or what literally the magic is for me that I liked it so much, but I did.
Okay, well, I'm probably going to break this into 2 parts because I think we've been filming for an hour and a half. But thank you guys so much for coming on. It was so fun.
This is great.
And thank you guys for watching.
Yes.
Please like and subscribe.
So Tirza can get her nails done.